Hi, hey, hello, how's it going? It's Emily. And today we're going to be continuing the romance reading. So I had a bunch of standalone romances on my TBR at the beginning of February. I read some of those in the first vlog, and I meant to read all of them in the first vlog, but didn't have time to finish those before I wanted to start the Game Changer series and marathon that. So that's the second vlog. And so I've also acquired a couple recently. So I have a couple that I intended to read in the last romance reading vlog where I was reading standalone romances, and then a couple of new ones that I have. So one that I intended to read in that other vlog and just didn't get time is Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. This seems so cute. I'll be talking more about the synopsis and what they're about as I'm actually reading them. I did get Hallie Hazelwood's new book. This is Two Can Play. I think it's been out on audio for a minute, but it just came out in print and is a short novella, so figured this would be perfect for what I want to do in this vlog, but of course had to pick up the new Hallie Hazelwood. Another recent addition to my TBR is Most Eligible by Isabel Engel, and I found this at a used bookstore for $6.74, so I had to pick that up. And then one that I have had on my TBR for a hot minute and intended to get to in the first vlog, but didn't, is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. She's about to come out with a new book, so I want to catch up and make sure that I'm not behind. Actually, her first few books I haven't read, so I do have a few of her backlist that I need to read. But other than this, I'm caught up on everything starting with Part of Your World. So I want to go ahead and read this one. So the plan for this vlog is to see how many of these I can read in 24 hours. Now, let me clarify what I mean by that, because I am not going to be staying up for 24 hours to be reading as many of these as I can. By the way, if you can hear the laundry, sorry, the show's got to go on, you know what I mean? So I will not be staying up for 24 hours to read as many of these as I can. I am 35, almost 36. That is just not in the cards for me at this age. I love sleep too much, and I will be sleeping, and probably sleeping a lot because I sleep a lot. So we're not doing that. We're not even doing 12 hours over the course of 2 days, mostly because I have some things I want to get done over the next couple of days, some things I want to get done today. And then tomorrow I also have a bar class that I'm going to be going to. Right after that bar class, my bar studio has a book club, as it turns out. And they read Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson this month. So I'm going to be dropping by the book club to see if I click with the group of people. I suspect I will, and just have fun chatting about Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. And then I'm going to be back in time for the live show on Kim's channel. I hope you're following Kim's channel and her new TBR game. It's always so much fun. So I'll be back in time for the live show, or at least should be. And so that's my plan for part of tomorrow. Plus, Matt's going to be home tomorrow. He's with his parents today and hanging out there today. But he's going to be, here all day tomorrow. And so I'm probably going to get distracted hanging out with him as well. So, I'm not going to be doing a read for 12 hours over 2 days. This might take 3 or 4 days to read for 24 hours. But I just want to time it and just see how many of these I can read in over the course of 24 hours. So I will have a timer, and I'll be starting the timer whenever I'm reading, and we'll just see how it goes. I don't know. Maybe this format will be fun for people. Maybe people will just be like, girl, you're just doing your normal thing and just timing it, which for the most part will be true. I will try to be more intentional about reading as much as I can over the next few days. But again, life is lifing. I mean, I've got jobs to apply to. I've got a job interview coming up. Keep your fingers crossed for me, by the way. I have a job interview on Wednesday, so I need to prepare for that anyways. I've got other things that I need to do and can't necessarily only focus on reading for 1 million hours a day over the next few days. So, we'll do what we can. I'll try to be intentional about reading as much as I possibly can and focusing on that. And having a timer just to see how many of these. Can I read all 4 of these in 24 hours? We shall see. So I'm excited to get going. I think I'm going to start with the Allie Hazelwood just to kind of get us going. It's short. It can get us going and kind of get the momentum set. Plus, it's Allie Hazelwood. I'm just really excited about it. So I think we're going to start with the Allie Hazelwood. So I will let you know and show you the timer as we're counting down. And we'll just see how this goes. I haven't done a vlog like this, but I have seen them everywhere. And so hopefully you enjoy. Hopefully this is a fun one. And if it is, I'm absolutely happy to to do this style of video again. Again, I will not be doing a video where I stay up for 24 hours. I'm sorry. I know those are popular right now. Absolutely not happening. But hopefully the style is still fun because it's kind of the best I'm going to be able to do. And then I think the next one after this, I can then kind of get back to episode 2 of Unwrap My TBR and pick numbers out of this TBR jar to see which wrapped and numbered book I'm going to read. So I'll probably maybe do, 4 or 5 books and pick them from the jar. I should get some more wrapping paper and actually wrap the rest of the books. Anyway, neither here nor there. But if you're excited about any of that, be sure to subscribe. And yeah, I will show you the timer starting once I actually start Two Can Play. It should be just a little bit before I start it, but I'll show you that once I start it. So we have just under 23 hours left. Hopefully you can see that without the glare. Anyway, we have just under 23 hours, so just a little bit over an hour. And I am on chapter 7, so on page, or a bit past page 65. And of course, I'm having a delightful time with this. So just wanted to quickly check in, especially since this is a novella. It's not going to take me very long at all to read. Wanted to go ahead and check in. So we're following Viola and Jesse, and they work for rival game companies that design and create games, not board games, video games. And they had interacted in the past. She actually interviewed at a company that Jesse worked for, and Jesse was present in that interview with his boss. And it did not go well, and he kind of stood up for her and called his boss out on stuff that was going on in the interview. Anyway, and she since then has seen him multiple times, kind of a small circle situation. But every time he sees her, he's kind of just a little cold, distant, not really wanting to interact. And, there have been a few just incidents that just really make her question why he just is kind of seems to be disgusted by her presence or not really want to interact with her or acknowledge her presence very much at all. Not much that's outright blatantly rude or anything like that, but she's confused about why he would be treating her this way. And she, before some of these incidents, had kind of developed a little bit of a crush on him through the times that she's seen him at various conferences and whatever. So fast forward to present day. Their company is being tapped to help create a video game that's an adaptation of a series of novels. But the company that's ultimately tapping them to help make it wants them to work with the rival company that Jesse works for. They want them to combine forces to ultimately create this video game. And so this means the two teams, and there are apparently just a lot of various incidents with members of each team over the years that have meant that these two companies in particular just have a lot of animosity towards each other. And so, they're both supposed to work together to create this video game. And so there's a retreat that's going on. So there's some forced proximity here. There had been a planned retreat, but the people at Viola and Jesse's company each thought that it was just a team retreat for their own team. And then their bosses, their managers, the owners of their companies let them know that it was actually going to be a combined retreat so that they could start to hopefully get along and establish some sort of working relationship to be able to get through this project and make it the best project that they can, and not lose the opportunity to be able to create this video game that could be huge for both of these companies. And so I love forced proximity. I always love a good forced proximity situation. And I think for how quickly or how short this book is, and I've only read 60 some odd pages so far, I'm really impressed with how quickly I am feeling integrated into the story and how much I'm already feeling for Viola. And I don't know, I feel I'm already immersed, and it's only been a very, very short time. Ali Hazelwood is just, I don't know, she's doing it again so far. I'm immediately hooked. I'm immediately sinking my teeth in and want to continue and get to know what's going on. Why, what does he have against her? What does he seem to have against her? Why is he treating her this way? What's going to happen with these two rival companies? And I love Viola's passion for this story. So she had read the novels that this game is going to be based on, and it was actually important in getting her into reading, and also a connection that she had with her dad, who's no longer alive. And so it's a connection point there. It's just, again, a really important story for her. So she is so excited about the potential to help make it and doesn't want to screw this up. So she is trying to help make sure that everyone can get along. And, of course, I'm assuming they're going to fall in love, and we'll figure out kind of what's been going on with why he just hasn't really been as warm to her as he seems to be with everyone else. So I actually would like to make a quick latte and keep reading. So that's what we're going to do. We do still have some eggnog we need to use. So I'll probably be making an eggnog latte and try to use as much of that as I can, because we really need to finish it up. So yeah, let's make a latte and read some more. So there are just over 21 hours left on the timer, and I had just finished Two Can Play. Had a lovely latte, just sat here and finished it, and I adored this. So, of course, as I mentioned, we have the forced proximity, which is always great, and so they're kind of forced to hang out a little bit, forced to talk to each other, and eventually come to understand what misunderstanding happened a while ago. I'm not going to say much more. I don't want to talk about details, but this was so much fun. I really would love a whole novel about these two, or would happily read another novella about them or whatever else she wants to give us that follow these characters. I'm sure there could be more to write here, but I adore these two. I love their passion for games and storytelling, and I don't know, it was just so cute and so sweet. Had a grand time. Of course, I'm not surprised that I absolutely love this one. So I am actually going to take a pause and continue in the morning because I'm realizing that I need to return Berserk Volume 3 to the I have the ebook that I can read on my Kindle that I checked out from the library, and I need to finish it before it needs to get returned. I do have the bind-up of the first 3 volumes. I'm borrowing it from someone, so I could read it physically, but that thing is heavy and just kind of a nuisance to actually physically read. So I've been reading them on my Kindle, but I want to finish the 3rd one so that I can return that to her and we can chat about the first 3 volumes of Berserk and nerd out on that together. So I need to finish that before it needs to get returned to the library. So I'm going to do that tonight and read that instead of anything else for this vlog. But I will be continuing with this vlog in the morning, and I will have, as I said, a little bit over 21 hours left on the clock. So I'll take a screenshot just in case the timer app accidentally gets messed up. So I need to do that as well. But yeah, we'll continue. I'll probably do most eligible and start that in the morning. Will probably be the next one. But we'll take a quick pause and continue in the morning. So it's actually a couple of days later. So we watched the U.S. men's hockey team win gold yesterday. That was really exciting. And then I went to a bar workout class. We had book club for the bar studio does a book club. And so we had that after, and then had Kem's live show. That was so much fun. And after that, honestly, we just watched more Heated Rivalry, just in the hockey spirit, right? So we watched more Heated Rivalry and had some dinner, watched some $1 Million Listing. I was reading a little bit yesterday, but it was mostly, I listened a little bit on the way to and from. It's like 10, 15 minutes each way along the way to and from the bar studio. So there was a little bit of listening yesterday, but otherwise I was trying to get through Berserk Volume 3. I'm almost done with it, so I'm hoping to wrap that up today as well. But anyway, yeah, yesterday just there was not much reading done, but I this morning have been listening to more of Most Eligible by Isabel Engel. Let's give a timer check though. So we left off at about 21 hours. Oh, this is hard to do with the glare. Okay, so we're at about 18 and a half hours at this point, if you can see that at all clearly. So we had probably half an hour yesterday on the way to and from the bar studio, and then a couple of hours this morning. So that's where that time has gone. But as I said, I've been reading Most Eligible, and I've been having a fun time with this one. We're following Georgia. So Georgia is a contestant on a reality dating show, pretty much The Bachelor, right? And she is going in with the intention of, she's an investigative journalist, and she's doing one last job before she is promised to be able to get the position that she actually wants at her company. And so she's doing one more investigative piece, and it's unclear what specifically, like, she's investigating this show and kind of the behind the scenes stuff of this show, but it's not quite clear what they expect to uncover, if anything. At least at this point, from what I'm recalling, I don't remember anything specific that she is necessarily looking for or trying to target. Just anyway, but she's going through the motions of being on this show, and I love me a good Bachelor contestant game show or competition setup. It's just always at least entertaining, even if it's not like a great piece of literature. It's always just fun. I have watched a good handful of seasons of The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I haven't watched in quite a long time, but I have watched me a fair number of seasons. So it's just always fun and entertaining to go through the different dates and go through the different gossip in the house and whatever. So I'm having a good time, and she's really just trying to survive to get through week to week so that she can, again, it's not quite clear what yet, but I'm on chapter 15, 125 pages in, so maybe that should be a little clearer to me at this point, but at this point, she's just trying to survive. The other wrinkle here is that the host of the show is actually a former contestant who has since separated from the person who won his season, but he's come back to host this season. And this is someone that she had a one-night stand with. And as she was giving him her name, she actually used the name that she writes under and didn't want to give him her real name, but wanted to give something, and that's just kind of what came to mind. And so he's the only person who actually knows that she has written pieces under this pen name. But, you know, even with that, she is saying that she hasn't been doing any investigative pieces for over a year. There's nothing written under that pen name in that time. So she's confident that he wouldn't really quite put together that that's why she's here. But he does know a little bit more than he should. And so that's a dangerous spot, but also, again, they had a one-night stand. They had some chemistry, so she's starting to feel that again. And anyway, I'm having a good time. It's just entertaining. And so we are going to keep going with this one today as I'm doing different things. I think we'll see how much I have left of the audiobook, but yeah, I'll keep going with this one and then get to the other two as well. Maybe I can finish this up today, or at the very least probably early in the day tomorrow to, you know, get that done. So yeah, but having a good time, and yeah, we'll check in once I've read more of this and I can give you an update. Good morning. Just having some coffee and watching the World All-Around Championships for gymnastics from last year. I realized I never actually caught up and watched the all-around or the individual event finals from the World Championships from last year, so decided to try to find that and watch some of that. We have about 14 hours left on the timer, so let's catch up. I have finished Most Eligible and had a fun time with this one. You need to just kind of go with some things for sure. So the competition moves very quickly. I think it's like week 4 and they're meeting people's families. It's like it moves very quickly. So you need to just kind of roll with it with the filming schedule and, you know, what they're doing with the production and some things that the other contestants do and whatever. You just got to kind of roll with some things. And it's also, it wasn't particularly clear what specifically she was looking for. She was just kind of looking for any dirt on the producers. And so kind of the motivations there seemed a little murky. I mean, her motivation was to find or be able to secure another position or another, you know, do something else at the place that she worked, kind of write about different things than what she's currently writing about. She wants to write about music. And so, you know, her motivations are clear, but the motivations of her friend / coworker to try to find some dirt and, like, you know, what she's looking for. She's trying to get some sort of exclusive scoop on things. And I don't know, that just kind of seemed a little ambiguous. Like, she's just kind of doing things every now and again to try to find something on the producers and, you know, figure out if they're doing anything shady. Like, it just, I don't know, that part didn't really, like, there wasn't a strong motivation there or something kind of strong pulling the plot forward as far as what she's trying to find with what dirt she might have on the producers or be able to find on the producers. But, it is kind of interesting just to see the behind the scenes of a show like this. You can tell that she was a fan of The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and probably read some of the tell-all memoirs about production and about filming and what that was like. And I don't know, it was just fun. Like, don't think about it too hard, but it was fun. So I have started Say You'll Remember Me. I'm on page 65. So we have met our two main characters here. And Xavier is a vet. He's definitely the grump of the two of them. And Samantha is definitely the extroverted, fun sunshine. And so they meet because Samantha finds a kitten. And based on some things that were wrong, like physically wrong with this kitten, he actually recommended putting the kitten down because surgery would be required, might not even necessarily have a good outlook even after the surgery. The surgery was expensive and she couldn't afford it. And if you can't do the surgery, things are only going to go downhill, and the little kitten would suffer before dying, kind of thing. So, but she is determined, and she decides to see if she can raise the funds to get the kitten this surgery. And in fact is able to do so, gets the kitten the surgery, and goes back to see him to get the cat cleared for flying, because she's actually flying back home to help take care of her mother. Her mother has dementia. So you can definitely tell that's going to be a really sad thing that's going on in this story. Xavier does not talk to his family because his parents were abusive to him growing up. So that's going to be another thing that I think we unpack. But anyway, so he's in a particularly grumpy mood when he meets her, just based on some things that had happened at work that we get to see. And I'm glad we got to see that, because we kind of get to see why he was in the mood that he was in when he first met Samantha. And so we kind of understand, and it's easier to forgive him for being a bit of a grump when he first meets her. But he, she comes back to him after successfully getting the surgery, and he, admits that he was wrong and that he was a grump to her, and asks her out on a date. And so they go on one perfect date. And this is the night before she's leaving to go move to California to take care of her mother. And so, I don't know, I probably wouldn't be someone who would say yes to a date right before moving, but, Sam is wanting a distraction for that night, which really makes sense. And so they have this one really perfect date, and now she's about to go back to California. So that's where we're at with that. But yeah, as I said, 14 hours left on the timer, so I will be continuing on with this today. I will be going downtown. I have a book club talking about The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer, so I need to finish that as well today. It's super short, so I'm not at all concerned about being able to finish that. But I do need to finish that and then head downtown at some point today. So I need to figure out how exactly I want to structure my day and what all I need to get done. But we'll figure that out. It would be good to at least apply for a few jobs, get some other things done. Anyway, we'll figure out what today is gonna hold. So we have about 8 hours of 45 minutes left on the timer. I did have to restart it, which is why it looks like it's barely gone through a smaller chunk of the time. I did have to restart it, but I did remember where I was. So I just forgot to turn it off at one point, but I had looked at where it was. I knew where it had been when I intended to stop it, so I've reset it. And we have 8:45 left. I have finished Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This was so sad. This is definitely, I think, her saddest one yet. And she has some ones that deal with some pretty tough topics. For sure, trigger warnings about... So there's not abuse from his parents on page. He's remembering a few things here and there. And he has one conversation with a parent. Anyway, so just... that isn't as much of something that's explored as her mom's dementia is, but it's still there. But for sure, trigger warnings regarding her mom's dementia and being a full-time caretaker and the struggles that she and her family have being a full-time caretaker for her mom, someone who doesn't remember her, and it's just heartbreaking. It's just so heartbreaking. And, the book is basically them trying to figure out what can work and doing anything they can and figuring out what what it's going to take and what they're willing to sacrifice to make something work. And of course I'm not going to talk about the ending or what things resolve, how things resolve, what isn't resolved, whatever. I'm not going to go into the details, but truly most of the book is kind of their struggles individually as they're trying to make this work and how that affects their time, the little time they can get together. But I do love their dynamic when they are together and how hard they're trying to make things work. And I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. So anyway, keep all of that in mind. But the writing is gorgeous. Again, I absolutely love our characters and love their dynamic. She just is such a good writer and has such a just heartfelt way of writing full complex characters that are going through a lot. And anyway, I loved it. So I have read the first couple of chapters as well of the next one. This is Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe by C.B. Lee. And again, just the first couple of chapters, we're following Brenda and Kat. And we open with Brenda, who is trying to submit an application for a scholarship. So she's in high school and she wants to get into this college program and she wants to save the world. She is very ambitious and she needs to submit this application by the deadline. She's had a little bit of a delay getting a recommendation letter from one of her teachers, so she's trying to submit it, and the Wi-Fi is out at her public library, and all of the computers are being used, so she can't use any of the computers, and she sees this coffee shop, so she decides to go into the coffee shop and just see if she can use the Wi-Fi there to submit her application, and there she meets Kat. So Kat's family runs this coffee shop. So Kat is learning to do a little bit of magic, so there definitely are some magical elements here right from the very beginning, and it seems like potentially the coffee itself can kind of help with different things for the people who drink it. And anyway, and she's the center of some sort of prophecy about magic and magic being controlled and not getting out of hand. And anyway, so there's a lot of pressure from her family. So we'll see what that all is about. But her family is tied to the history of magic in this place. And anyway, so there's a lot of pressure on her. So that's really what we found out in the first couple of chapters here. But I will keep you updated, and we'll see how this goes. It just sounded so cute, so wanted to check it out. So we will continue with this one. It seems like we might actually be able to read an additional one. So I definitely have something in mind for the next one as well. But anyway, we'll see what happens and how long this one takes. But yeah, so we'll just keep going with Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. I do have a job interview today, so I'm very nervous. Keep your fingers crossed for me again. So yeah, that is today, and I'm just gonna spend some more time just preparing a little bit, just like getting mentally in the zone. It's happening a little bit later today, and honestly, I'd much rather it happen earlier on in the day just to kind of get the nerves over with, and then be able to enjoy the rest of the day. But we are going to be going to a happy hour with some friends later tonight, which I think will be good for me. Honestly, this is going to be a super social week, but I think it'll be good for me to just celebrate being done with the interview and have that being out of my hands. Anyway, but yeah, we will check in once I've read more of Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. So here to check in, we have just over 5 hours left on the timer. Let me give you a quick peek of that. So we've got about 5 hours left, a little more than. We have just over 4.5 hours left of the audiobook for this one. So I'm going to finish with about half an hour to spare. I've got a plan for that half hour. So we're doing good. We're doing good. But yeah, I am about halfway through Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. And this is so cute. I'm really enjoying this. So I had given kind of a basic setup for Brenda and Kat, with Brenda being super ambitious and wanting to get into school and save the world with science, and Kat's family owning this coffee shop. There's kind of magic in Kat's world. And, Brenda had somehow found herself in Kat's coffee shop, like in her version of it. And, they set up a date, and it gets to the time of the date. Brenda's been trying to reach out to Kat, who has been unresponsive. And, Kat works the day that they agreed to meet, and they both go to the coffee shop. Kat's there working, Brenda goes to the coffee shop, but, when Brenda goes in, Kat's not working. It's really weird. It looks different. The owners are confused about what's going on in Kat, and Kat works, and then Brenda just never shows up when she said she would. So, they're a little sad about that. And then one day Brenda is going into a Target, and she gets into this Target and then realizes that Target is kind of weird. It's selling some weird things. People are dressed like it's a steampunk movie, and she just isn't really sure what to make of this, but she runs into Kat, and they realize that they're in different universes, like alternate universes, and that's why they weren't able to see each other when they agree to and kind of go on this date. And so Brenda's trying to figure out what's going on, what this alternate universe situation is, and so is Kat. Brenda at this Target uses some sort of magic that she didn't really realize that she had. It was kind of a heat of the moment kind of thing to protect people, and she doesn't really know what's up with that. And so, they're trying to figure out, these portals between their worlds. How are they going to be able to see each other? And, Brenda's super busy with all the activities that she's doing, and, just has a super busy life. And, Kat is working at the coffee shop, but she's also this chosen one with the prophecy. I think I gave a brief description of that. But these magical surges are happening more and more frequently, and it's going to cause some problems. And so there needs to be kind of this ritual to see if that can help. And anyway, so she's trying to figure out what's going on with these portals and with being the chosen one, and what she's supposed to do and all that. But it's really cute. It's really cute. And then she's trying to figure out when and where these portals are going to open so that they can see each other, and starting to figure out more about, how and when that's going to happen, and what to do as the chosen one. And, can she help? Is she in for more than she bargained for with other things going on? And, the council, and her mother had volunteered to be kind of the focal point, or the magical centerpiece of this ritual at one point. And that's how she died. Not many people end up surviving that. And so, she's trying to grieve her mother, and she and her father are grieving in very different ways. That's also part of what's going on here. Anyway, so, they each have a lot going on in their individual lives. And it's just fun to see the magic in Kat's world and what's going on there, and their dynamic is just pretty cute. So I'm having a really fun time with this one, to be honest. So I'm going to keep going with this one, and that'll be the final book for this vlog, at least final full book. For the last half hour, I did have it was supposed to be 14 like short stories all centering around a meet cute that will take you up until Valentine's Day. And I was good at first about reading one per night and then kind of fell off the bandwagon with that a little bit. So I want to catch up on a few of those for the last half hour. So we'll get to that once I finish Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. But I think those will be the plans for the rest of the vlog. So I'm going to get some stuff done. I need to get a little bit of cleaning done around the house. The interview is actually rescheduled for tomorrow. Anyway, I was stressed all day yesterday and ended up going out and going shop. I didn't actually get anything. I just needed to get out of the house and just have places that I could just walk around and not just walk around the house and pace around the house anxiously. I could not focus. And so I went out just to have places to walk around. And the interview was supposed to happen at 3:30, but I don't know. I think she maybe didn't write it down properly in, whatever she uses to plan for the day or something. And I reached out. I was like, is this still a good time? And she apologized and asked to reschedule to Friday. So I feel like I've wasted a day just trying to stressing for this interview. And now I get to have that anxiety live with me for a little while longer. But I'm trying to be productive today, get some things done. It's a little bit earlier tomorrow, the time we rescheduled for. So we rescheduled for 12:30 tomorrow. And so at least it'll be a little bit earlier. And so I can get up, have some breakfast, try to mentally prepare myself in the morning, and then it'll be over with. So that was fun. Anyway, so I'll let you know how that goes, and I will keep going with this one, and then we will wrap up this vlog. So almost here to wrap up this vlog, but not quite, because we still have just over half an hour, 37 minutes left on the timer. I have finished A Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. This was just really cute and fun, and I don't typically gravitate towards contemporary high school stories because I'm just 20 years removed from high school, but they were super cute. I was really just enjoying just the magic and the mystery here. I don't know. It was cute. It was fun. Would recommend if you're in the mood for a YA contemporary with a bit of magic. So for the last 30 minutes, I'm going to read a couple more stories or however long I can in Meet Cute. And this was something I intended to finish on Valentine's Day. I read the first 8 stories, and it's just, again, little short stories that are meet cutes. And the idea was to have one every day leading up to Valentine's Day. But I got up to February 9th, kind of fell off the bandwagon a bit. So I need to finish the 9th through the 14th. And so I'll read as much as I can of that, but I figured that would be the perfect thing just to round out the last little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and turn on the timer. I'm just going to come back to you once I've read for a bit over half an hour and wrap up this vlog. So now here to wrap up this vlog, I did read a couple more of these short stories, and we are now officially out of time. And yeah, this was a fun little experiment. It took longer than I thought to read for 24 hours. Although, to be fair, I was also reading Berserk and some nonfiction in the midst of that. So there's also that. But still, took a little longer than I thought. But this was a fun one. I would definitely do this again. So let me know if you enjoyed this. Let me know if you are okay with this format. I know it's not what some other creators do, but whatever, we're making it work and having fun with it. So yeah, let me know what you think of this format or some other ideas for some 24-hour challenges that you would like to see. And we'll just keep rolling. So again, thanks so much for joining me for this vlog. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll also leave my Instagram down below. I have been posting frequently there, so do check that out and follow me there. And I will also leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, more important now than ever. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.